love that. I mean, one thing about Evey Malmsteen, some of you guys know this, Evey Malmsteen always with the best singers in the world. That's Graham Bonnet. That's just my sort of my sweeping Evey arpeggio air guitar. All right, what do we got? I'm gonna go over these questions. You guys get ready. All right, let's see if we can do something else while we're waiting for that. What do we got here? Cool. I just saw that where the famous producer Dave Hillis is watching us this morning. My former homie from Seattle, Washington, Dave Hillis, and I worked on a tune together, a prog metal tune together years ago. And Dave, great to have you, man. I hope things are going well for you. And yeah, Dave was one of the instrumental producers for some of the famous Pearl Jam albums. And I know there's others, Dave, as well, but the Pearl Jam deal kind of comes to mind. Thanks for joining, Dave. Love to catch up with you on the phone. Anyways, you guys, we have a lot of questions. I want to get right to it here. Thank you for coming. Where's my book? Where's my prayer? Those of you that have been on the broadcast before, you sort of know how this goes. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm answering questions from students of the TVS courses that are in different places around the interwebs. And so this is sort of a customer service discussion. We're going to talk a little bit about the user interface, how to poke around and get into the course and all that. There's sometimes questions about that. And of course, questions about the TVS methodology, how to build your own unique integrated training routines, how to train, and just general questions about technique in general. All right, well, do our best to have a good time and make this an educational experience. All right. Those of you that are not familiar, my name is Robert Lunte. I'm the founder of the Vocalist Studio. I wrote this book, The 4 Pillars of Singing. I spent 7 years in this studio writing this book, and there's a companion online course that goes with it that is the world's largest comprehensive online course ever produced for home study on the planet today. And that is probably a true statement. And I'll just leave it at that. So here we go. We have my buddy Draven. Draven, take a look at Dave Hillis. He's a producer that did a lot of the Pearl Jam albums. He used to be up here in Seattle. I had an opportunity to record with him once. Stuart, thanks for stopping by. I was hoping that the lover boy would bring you in, but too bad you can't stay with us. Heather, good to have you. Belinda, thanks for coming back. Please, can you explain the difference between vocal fold compression? All right. I have a whole bunch of questions. I'm getting organized here. I'm not sure we'll be able to get to all of them. All right, you guys, but any questions that we don't get to today, we'll just roll over to next week, okay? All right. The first question I wanted to answer is real quick is Gina Mudd. Gina Mudd, who also is our new a new moderator for our community. So let's give her a hand. Thank you, Gina, for helping us with our community. Really appreciate it. And Gina's question is, what is the difference between a vertical embouchure and the snile? Okay? What's the difference between the vertical embouchure? Okay? So when we say embouchure, that's fancy French for tongue, teeth, lips, jaw, how you're shaping your mouth, and okay, all of this. All right? This is the embouchure. Okay? All right? Now, in the book, in the course, in the program, we talk about 2 different kinds of embouchures. There's the vertical embouchure. Okay? It's an embouchure that is generally has a vertical orientation to it. And then there's the horizontal embouchure, a little bit more tricky to work with. You have to train it to maintain it. We've talked about it before in other broadcasts. It's what I advocate. It's a little more difficult to get a feel for, but once you get a feel for it, you sing better. The horizontal embouchure looks like this. Okay? Vertical, horizontal. Okay? Might not seem like a big deal to you, but it really is. A horizontal embouchure is slightly better, in my opinion, because it's less jaw movement when you're singing. If you can kind of hold it here, less jaw movement, and because the oral cavity is compressed more, you get more amplification of the resonance inside the oral cavity. Also, the horizontal embouchure is more favorable for articulating narrowed vowels. Don't have all the answers, don't know exactly why, but for some reason, when you sing through a little bit more of a horizontal position like this and you chill out the jaw movement, suddenly the ability to articulate those narrow vowels that we all know are difficult sort of get a little bit better. Now, to Gina's question, that's the backstory. All right, Gina's question is, what is the difference between the vertical embouchure and the snile? So the snile is something that I talk about in the book and the course. It's something I invented. The snile is just simply this. Okay? The snile is a kind of embouchure. All right? The snile is a horizontal embouchure position. All right? It's really not a vertical position. So Gina, the snile is sort of a fun and funny way of describing and helping students get into a horizontal embouchure. I'm advocating and teaching horizontal orientation, okay? And to have fun with it, to help people grasp it better, I invented the snile. And what's the snile? Well, the snile is a cross between a sneer and a smile. If you take a smile and a sneer and you bring it together, you get a snile. So you got a smile, and you got a sneer, and you put it together, you get a snile. All right, that's a snile.
That was easy.
Next question. So, if you're a TDS student, you're working on your snile. All right, you're singing through a snile like this. All right, everything's over there, got a little bit of a snile in there. It's a cross between a smile and a sneer. All right, I want to go up here. It's kind of cool that Dave Hillis is on board. He might be able to make a comment or two or whatever. Who knows? But we're going to talk about mic grips here. I promised you guys some microphone discussion. So Bob Ricks asks, he says, by the way, Robert, some people have been criticizing the picture. Here we go. The picture of you holding the microphone in that way. Which, again, I do not really understand why they are saying that. I thought it would be used like when you're belting out some hard rock songs. Okay. So Bob Ricks says, hey, Rob, there's some people that sometimes criticize you about the way you hold your mic. Some of you may realize if you look at any picture in the last 15 to 20 years of me holding a live mic, I hold the mic in a cradle, in a cupped, sort of a partially cupped position like this, right? Pinky underneath, up on top, all right? And not very often, but from time to time, somebody will call me out on it, typically a front live sound guy or something, go, oh no, you can't do that because it's going to create all kinds of feedback. Well, here's the reason why I do this. Number one, this is just one of 3 grips that we talk about inside the book and in the course, all right? The 3 grips are, 1, the cradle grip, which I prefer. I use it all the time. I've been doing it. It's been doing it for so long I can't even remember, all right? I've been doing it for like 20 years. This is the cradle grip, okay? And then there is the rack grip. This is the rack grip, all right? It's got plenty of ventilation, all right? It's elegant. And then this is the 3rd grip, which it's not a big deal. It's fine if you want to hold the mic this way, but it's not my first choice for me personally. It's not what I'm recommending. And this is You've seen this before. It's what everybody does. They hold the mic, hunker down like this, and we call it, this has a name too. We call it the Rotten. Okay? It's a tribute to Johnny Rotten. Right? You hold the mic like this. I'll tell you why I don't like this is because when you hold the mic like this, a couple things. Actually, 3 things. Number 1, it kind of makes the singer kind of grip down like this and makes it give it a go. And then you get all kinds of tension creep. All kinds of tension creep. I don't like having to hold down. I don't want students holding down on a mic like this. I don't want that happening. I don't want that. I want the microphone to be sort of floating and elegant. All right. I don't want tension creep. Okay. 2, the Rotten makes you break your wrist. See how my wrist is breaking? That's contributing to the tension creep. All right. It's contributing to the same problem. All right. That's why it's Rotten. Okay. And 3, this is just only my opinion. All right. I think it looks, I don't like the way it looks. Now, the way it looks when you hold a mic is not super important. All right. I'll preface this by saying it's not a big deal, but at the end of the day, I don't like the way it looks. I think it sort of looks like Wednesday night karaoke night, and I don't like it. Okay. I advocate 2 grips that don't break the wrist. Okay, and don't create tension creep. All right, the rack. Okay, this is the rack. Very elegant, sort of what Barbra Streisand and a lot of divas will do. Okay, no feedback problems, plenty of ventilation. You engineer types out there. All right, and the grip that Bob is referring to, it is a partially cupped grip. All right, and it's called the cradle. This is the cradle grip. Put your right hand out, put the mic between your pinky and your ring finger, bring these 3 fingers together, bring them up across the top, and then you want your thumb across the top, not across the bottom, but across the top, right? Like this. And what happens is the cradle grip sort of sits very nicely in the palm of your hand. The ergonomics are fantastic. It feels really comfortable, especially if you have a microphone like this that is really thin on the shank, okay? Some people like Audix and TC Helicon and Sennheiser and others make microphones that are really thin on the shank. I prefer that. You'll notice that all the mics that I use typically are thin. And if they don't come thin out of the box like this one, this is a Electro-Voice ND967, then I'll make it thin. This used to have a little rubber sleeve on it. I pulled it off because I want the shank to be thin. Why? Because I want my microphone to be ergonomically comfortable. I want it to be light in my hand, okay? It's my wizard wand. I want it to be light and floaty. I don't want to do this. I want to do this, okay? Now, those of you that are concerned about feedback, what I'm about ready to tell you is the honest to God truth. Honest to God truth. I've been using this mic in live performances and in this studio for about 20 years. Excuse me, I meant this grip. I've been using this cradle grip for about 20 years. Seriously, not once has it feedback on me, okay? I get it. I understand the concern about feedback. I get that. You know, you're concerned that like the fully cupped position like this would feed back, and it might. Is the risk of feeding back higher? Probably. But the truth is, it's never happened to me. Now, this last spring, this last May, okay, we had Rode microphones in here at our Vocal Athlete Intensive. Myself and Draven Gray did a full week technique training program for singers all around the world. Some of them are on our program right now. And Rode microphones brought in their microphone specialist, a guy that travels around the country. He goes to all the dealers, all the resellers, and all the studios and talks about the Rode microphone products to dealers and distributors. Okay, his job is to understand these microphones. Well, Ryan had his table out here with all of his mics, and I thought, you know, this is a great opportunity. I want to see what Ryan has to say about my cradle grip, okay? And so I asked him, hey, Ryan, you know, I got this sort of this funky grip that is interesting, and I like it because it's comfortable for me. And 2, by the way, it it makes the mic a little bit boomier. Boom, boom. It makes the mic just a touch hotter, a little bit boomier. And I love that. If I pull back and it gets a little bit thinner, it's not my preference. I like the mic to kind of get it just a little bit boomier. You hear that? Out here, I get in my critical position, it just gets a little bit meatier. It amplifies sort of the mids and the lows, all right? So it's ergonomics and it's the sound color you get from the grip. It's the reason I like it, and other singers do it as well. I've seen James Labrie from Dream Theater do this grip numerous times. Anyways, back to my story. I asked Ryan, I got this funky grip. What do you think? Do you think there's a problem with this? Never been a problem. It's never fed back on me, but what do you think? And he goes, well, no, let me see it. And I show it to him. And Ryan looks at it and he goes, he says, oh, that's not a problem. That's fine. That's okay. He didn't even give it a second thought. He's like, oh, no problem. You see, Robert, the reason that's okay, be careful, but the reason it's mostly okay is because you get your ventilation here. This is not a fully cupped grip, right? A fully cupped grip would be stuff like this, okay? This is not fully cupped. It's only partially cupped. So I get my nice, snuggy, ergonomic grip. It's light, and I get a little bit of boost. That's the deal with the grip. So Bob, the grip, it's not about belting. It's not about hard rock. It's not about metal. The fact that it sort of looks cool, that's not the reason why I'm doing it, all right? It's just a coincidence that it sort of looks cool. But just understand, I'm not doing it because it looks cool. I wouldn't do that, all right? So it's not about hard rock. It's not about I'm a rocker or metal or whatever. It's just about comfort in my hand, and I like that additional amplification of the mids and the low mids that I get from the grip. All right, so that's a critical grip. That's controversy. That's the whole deal. That's what I'm doing. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, and I'm going to keep holding the mic that way. All right. So there you go, Bob. Good question. All right. Up here we have Travis. Travis asks, going through the course, and it's clear that vocal cry mode is the bomb. Yeah. I have gone to the primitive acoustic mode section, and I learned about Sob Mode. All right? And it's unclear if they are the same thing. This is a great question. This is compounded by the assertion you don't really use Sob in training, whereas you regularly refer to using cry mode in training. Can you please clarify? All right, voice coaches, I want you to watch as we do this. One thing that I want you to witness that's happening is students don't really understand the backstory and the technique and things oftentimes. So you have to read a question or take a concern and sort of retranslate it. You have to decrypt it. A good voice coach will be able to hear their question and understand what the real question is. Even though the student isn't asking it properly, you sort of know what they're hitting at. You know what they're getting at. So it's important that when this happens, such as Travis, although Travis, you did a nice job on this actually, that you turn around to the student and you say, okay, what I think I understand what you're concerned about is in the book, in the course, when we talk about physical modes, and physical modes are a set of physical laryngeal positions that are unique, that create a certain sound color that are part of human phonation. Okay, to give you an example of a physical mode, I'm using one of them right now. It's called speech mode. The way the muscles, the musculature, the tendons, the ligaments, and the and the phonetics, the vowels and the consonants are rolling out of my mouth, the way I'm communicating and the way the musculature is responding inside right now is what we need for speech mode, okay? To speak. On the other hand, when we sing, we don't sing with speech mode configuration, all right? We sing with other more exotic configurations, and that's one of the points for vocal training, is it helps people learn how to build a new set of motor skills and strength and coordination that they don't really have that isn't speech. We live with speech every day. Generally speaking, people without training try to use speech mode at singing, and it doesn't work. Why? Because you have complex patterns and melodies at really high frequencies, and that's not where speech lives. You try to take speech physical mode configuration and you get it up above the vocal break onto an A4 and high stuff, and you try to articulate screams and singing nice and vibrato and everything else that's involved in the art of singing inside the physical mode of speech mode, it isn't going to work. That's part of the problem. That's why we have studios like this and voice coaches. So what we do is we run students through different patterns and workouts and onsets and things. It's all in my course in my book that teach you how to train, but that's also developing these more exotic modes, okay? That's the backstory. In order for me to answer Travis's question, I first have to teach you or remind you of what physical modes are. Otherwise, you wouldn't understand the question. The question wouldn't make any sense. It would have no context, all right? All right, so his question basically is, Robert, I noticed that in the book and in the course you don't advocate Sob mode. There's one of these physical modes, it's called Sob. This is Sob mode. I'm in Sob mode right now. You can tell that I'm really sobby. It's very sobby, okay? Okay, now to make this sound color, my larynx is lowered and other things have happened and I'm in Sob mode. All right, so I'm Sob, okay? And then Travis says, but you don't advocate Sob mode, and then you turn around in more recent videos, you're advocating cry vocal mode. Oh, this is cry mode. Whoa. You notice I would never speak like this, but I could sing like this. All right, maybe not a great example, but you notice it's definitely not speech mode, and it's not Sob mode either. All right, we got three different physical modes: speech, sob, and cry. Well, since crying and sobbing in the language sort of mean the same thing, that's creating confusion for the student. Don't sob, but cry, but as far as I know, sobbing and crying sort of means the same thing, so I'm confused. That's what Travis is saying. Voice coaches, that's the thing you gotta pick up and recognize quickly. All right, Travis, your answer. 4 or 5 years ago, when I started writing the book and doing the course, I made the statement that Sob mode had little value in singing, okay? And it stands, it's still true, in my opinion. Somebody might want to argue with me. Somebody might want to say, well, I sing like this all day long, and I can use this sound color all day long, and fine, have fun with that. I don't really advocate Sob mode for singing, okay? Not typically. But recently, in updated content, I've become a big advocate of cry vocal mode. And cry vocal mode is characterized by elongation of the vocal folds, which creates hyperreduction, medial compression, which increases the surface area or the contact surface area of the vocal folds, which if you then pull that chest musculature up into your head voice, it's one of the things that makes high notes above the vocal break sound chesty and belty, having good medial compression, all right? And 3, cry vocal mode removes all pharyngeal constriction. Cry vocal mode gives you hyperreduction. Cry vocal mode maintains good chest voice musculature on high notes for belting, and cry vocal mode removes the pushing and the choking and the squeezing. Last time I checked, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. And it is flat out, the most significant thing that I've sort of stumbled upon, learned about, applied to my own singing and my teaching and all my students and teachers. It's the most profound discovery to become a better singer in training since the dampen and release onset and the attack and release onset. All right, cry vocal mode, really super important. It's going to radically transform your singing forever. All right. Also, we have two onsets in the program: the dampen and release onsets that pop off of plosives, and glottal attacks that go into straight into vowels. All right. They also can build great strength and take a student to a whole new level quickly. All right. So Travis, yeah, sob and cry sort of mean the same thing in the language of English. All right. But in the talk track and the language of vocal technique, if we're talking about physical vocal modes as students and teachers, it's not, the context is different, all right? We're not talking about linguistics, we're talking about talk track terms in vocal technique, in books and courses and things. So they're different. Cry mode, sob mode are different. You heard the differences. I don't recommend sob mode. I do recommend singing through cry vocal mode for sure. All right, I hope that answers your question. Next, we will get to the microphones. I promise you guys. I'm going to wait for the last 15 minutes for that. Lula. Robert, is it possible to sing the notes above G4? That's G4, these are the notes above G4. Robert, is it impossible to sing the notes above G4 with pure chest voice? Because many people bully me on the internet. They say, it's impossible to sing on G4 with pure chest voice. They say that the notes on it are all mixed. Then why do many singers break into the falsetto if everyone in this world can automatically mix the registers? Why do many singers have trouble singing high notes while the registers have been mixed automatically? That's real confusing. There's several elements of confusion in that question, and there's actually about 3 questions and a lot of confusion. I'll just start at the top. Is it impossible to sing the notes above G4 in pure chest voice? Is it impossible to take chest voice to notes above G4? Well, yes and no. The simplest way to describe it is we can take chest voice musculature to G4 and above. Now it depends on your voice type. It depends on the individual and your personal anatomy for singing, and there's lots of factors involved. But as a general statement, we can take the chest voice musculature, the way the musculature is behaving down here in speech mode. I'm oversimplifying, but just to try to keep this simple for you guys. The way the musculature, certain elements, such as that medial compression I was talking about, having good surface area of the vocal folds, that is a characteristic of vibratory mechanism M1, or motor voice, or chest voice. Okay. So we can take a high closed quotient, okay, a high closed quotient and good medial compression above the vocal break into the head voice with training. So in a sense, the resonance up here in the head voice is not chest voice as we know it down here. It would never, it never will be. It's just high sort of head voice resonance. It's a higher resonance that isn't consistent down here. It's always going to be up here, all right? But what we do is through training, we take the musculature that has certain elements about that musculature configuration, certain elements about that physical mode, the configuration, high through the vocal break into the head voice, and therefore it's not true chest voice, but it's chest voice like. It has elements of chest voice, medial compression, high close quotients, and other elements. Okay, so the short answer is yes. I mean, or no, it's no. It's not impossible to take chest voice high to above G4. I mean, I do it every day.
So I guess this is the part of the story where I do it. All right.
That's G4 at the top, all right? So I'll just work above it. A4. And on. Now, this morning I feel pretty good. I think I could take my chest-like musculature up to probably a D. But on any given day, I can take it to a C. Again, depends on the individual. So no, it's not impossible. And especially if you train. If you train. In the TVS, what we're doing, in the course in the book, if you want to take your chest voice high into the head voice, go into the book, go into the course, and study the dampen and release onset. Study the attack and release onset. Get really good at them, all right? And then put them on the move with sirens and other workouts. In the program, there's video demonstrations of me doing this, all right? I do it all the way up, 24 notes, and all the way back down. Unique training routines. They're integrated training routines that integrate onsets with vowels and workouts. Those are the integrated training routines. And there's certain routines that are designed well for belting, for increasing medial compression above the break, for high close quotient, for all the chest voice stuff, okay? So it's not possible, and in my program, I will teach you how to do exactly that. All right. They say it's impossible to sing on G4 with pure chest voice. You know what? It's not. If it is impossible, it's impossible for them. Okay? And that's what's going on here. Just because it's impossible for them, the people that are bullying you and picking on you, that doesn't mean that it's impossible for me or you if you train. Okay? That's the point. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here. They say that the notes are all in mixed voice. Well, that's sort of what I mean when I say that the resonance is high, but the musculature is pulling up. Sort of chest-like musculature inside a new exotic resonance. You can sort of call that mixed voice. This is sort of a semantics of sorts, sort of the confusion that comes with vocal technique in regards to semantics. Don't worry about it. The important point is, yes, you can, and it's true, they can't because they're not training, and you can and you will because you will train. And I got the workouts for you. Let's go on to the next workout. Next question. David says, hi Robert, I'm a tenor. and I can attack high notes like D5. Pretty impressive, David. But I think I have a problem momentarily. I can't hold notes easily like an A4 sharp, all right, B flat, A sharp 4. So David can sing the D5, but he has a problem on the note below, to be B flat or A sharp. Just pushing, and also I don't have years of experience. What do you think? I'm going to get better in time when I'm going to know my body, how it works, or my voice is not to hold high notes, just attack them. What can you say about them? A lot of these people, English isn't their first language, so the grammar is a little funky. All right, so here we go. David, the question in the question is this. David is saying, hey Rob, on D5, the super high note, I can do it all day long. It's easy for me. But below that note, B flat, A sharp, it's not easy. It breaks. I get instability issues. Well, that's odd. That doesn't make sense to me. What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. The first thing you need to understand, David, and you guys, the first most important thing you need to understand, if you feel like, well, super high screaming notes are easy, but the ones below it are more difficult, that doesn't make any sense. Understand this. Understand this. Just because it's a super high note, that doesn't make it the most difficult. Okay? This is important. Let it sink in. Own it. Don't forget it. All right? Just because a note is super, super high, it does not mean that it's the most difficult note to sing. It doesn't mean that it's the most difficult note to train. And any good coach will tell you that, or should tell you that. I'm sure if you asked the question to Draven, he'd say the same thing. If you ask Kevin Richards, he'd say the same thing. If you ask Marie, she'd tell you that too. Coaches understand this, and students need to understand it too. All right? So David, you need to remove this confusion and notion that, oh, because it's super high and screamy, that somehow that makes it more difficult. Typically not. All right. Super high screaming notes are usually, there might be some exceptions, depending on the individual and the vowel and different things that are happening. But as a general rule, the super high notes are typically a lot more easier, than notes that are a little bit lower. Notes around A4, for example, which you're talking about, it's A sharp, A sharp, A sharp, around A4, and for men around A4 and around E4. Okay, those are bridges. Those are register bridges. Those are places where the resonance has to shift. And when the resonance has to shift, the articulators and the musculature and the tongue and all kinds of fancy movements have to happen inside to make the resonance shift smooth. Add to that motor skills and strength building. You have to train, all right, to build stability around E4 and A4. So the reason A4 is more difficult for you than the D5 is because at D5, there isn't a major formant shift. There isn't a major registration. You've long already done it down at A4, and you're just like sort of going into whistle note land, all right? Which for you is a little bit easier. Anytime we have to bridge registration, we have to shift formants, okay? For men, namely around somewhere around E4 and A4, those are the most difficult spots. Okay, so that's totally normal. It's a completely normal experience, David. So what do you do about it? Train, dampen and release onsets, integrated training routines with dampen and release onsets, pulling up with melodic fists, and attacking in with vowels, attack and release onsets. Study, dampen and release onsets, and attack and release onsets. go out to the training page and scroll down to the integrated training routines, strength building routines, and I believe it's number 3. Okay, so training page, phase module 3, training page, module 3, strength building workout number 3. Write this down. Has dampen and release onsets, plosive onsets, pulling melodic fists to the top, and then in with glottal attacks back down. It's an integrated training routine for belting. Do that through E and through A over and over again, okay? And you'll get stronger. Now, also, David, it's important that your vowel and your resonance is correct as well. You have to manage 2 things here, the physiology of singing, okay, and you have to manage the acoustics as well, both of them, all right? So the workout that I gave you will help build the physiology, those dampen and release onsets and those glottal attacks. That's the physiology piece. Now I'll give you a quick tip here, David. To get your A4 to stabilize, write this down. Add a little bit more as in ants in my pants, okay? I got ants in my pants. A little bit more ishness, a little bit ishness. Just a touch, just a pinch at A4. So what I'm talking about is formant tuning here, and they are very delicate, just like tuning a guitar string. We add a little bit of ishness to the sound color, all right, that you're singing approximately around A, B flat, and I'll guarantee you, David, that that A4 will open up for you, okay? So work the musculature and the motor skills, and be sure to tune your formant properly. Get a little bit of ishness up there and watch what happens. All right? Okay. Most likely a formant tuning issue. More ants in your pants on A4. More ants in your pants.
That was easy.
All right. Sim. All right. So we talked about microphones, and I promised you guys a little bit about microphones that I enjoy and why. So let's just do a little bit of that. I have here, well, I should preface by saying I'm a microphone geek. I love mics. Maybe it's because I'm living with them all day long. I don't know. I just like it. It's less about the technology so much. I'm not really a tech spec guy, but I'm into sort of the industrial design. I'm into how it feels in the hand and what it looks like. And I have a little bit of, this is pretty geeky, but like a geeky interest in the history of certain microphones, okay? Some people collect stamps, I collect mics. I confess. All right, so this is my quick access go-to bag. All right, this is my go-to bag. This is what I'll use on any given day. There's about another 60 microphones over here in a cabinet, and that I can go to, but they're locked up. They're locked up, and I'll show you some of those, and I'll tell you why they're locked up. But these are sort of the ones that I use on Fridays when I'm working with my students. Let's go through it. I don't have a favorite mic, but I have certain mics that are my favorite. So I'll start with those. First and foremost, I love this. This was a gift that was given to me by my dear friend and TBS certified instructor from Cagliari, Italy, Sergio Calafiera. Go check out Sergio's content on YouTube. He is an amazing singer. He sings, it's like Chris Cornell reincarnate. Go listen to this guy sing. He can do anything. He's brilliant. He's a great friend and a great coach. Anyways, in Italy, there's a company that makes handmade microphones. It's called Lombardi. This is the Lombardi mic. made in Italy. I absolutely adore it. It is so awesome.
Sounds great.
It actually has a bit of a booming. Has a little bit of boominess to it. All right, Lombardi, love it. You can go out to Amazon.com and get one. They're kind of pricey though, but love it. Sergio, if you ever see this video, if you're watching right now, love you, buddy, and thank you so much for this microphone. You didn't waste this on me. I use this thing all the time. Absolutely love it. Next. So, you know how the Germans make really great cars? They do. You got your Mercedes, you got your Beamers, you got your Volkswagens. I mean, just the engineering in Germany is just the best in the world, really, in some regards. Well, you guys may not know this, but Germany is really super famous for making cars, and they're also really super famous and have a great, great history of making microphones. The greatest microphones in the world, you know, arguably, are German microphones. It's another reason why we like Germans. Right. You got your Neumann, a Biodynamic, AKG, which is not German, it's actually Austrian, similar. And then you have Sennheiser, okay? This is the Sennheiser, or sometimes we call it the Sen. This is the Sennheiser E935. This is, you cannot lose with this microphone. Apart from the fact that it has this beautiful cobalt blue color to it, which I just think is beautiful and lovely, it sounds killer. I mean, this is just killer. I love the Sennheiser E935. Those of you that are shopping for mics, the Sennheiser E935. Also, notice how the shape of the microphone has a little bit of a sexy, sort of a sexy figure to it, all right? Cradle grip, cradle grip. Any microphone that sort of thins out, beautiful for the grip, okay? On behalf of myself and all teachers and students, Sennheiser, thank you for making wonderful microphones through the years. We all love you so much. I told you I'm geeking out over here. This is fun. All right, so what's next? This is a cool microphone. I love this. When you're collecting mics, it's cool to, for me, to find mics that are rare, like from little tiny companies that you wouldn't hear about unless you sort of dug around for it on the internet, okay? This is sort of one of them. This is a company out of Latvia, okay? And these guys are really awesome. They treat me well, and they're good friends. I'm in communication with them from time to time. This is their microphone called the HH1. This is the HH1 from Latvia. Latvia. Okay. JZ. Company is JZ Microphones. JZ Microphones, handmade from Latvia. See, it says made in Latvia. All right, HH1. I like this microphone because it also has a little bit of an hourglass feel to it. It's comfortable in the hand. This flat top right here, this is a common design that you'll see on microphones from time to time. Not everybody does it, but sometimes people do. It's a good idea. What this does is the idea is it gets you sort of straight into the diaphragm of the microphone, because you're not sort of rolling off the edge. If you have a flat top on the grill, the expectation, the point is that you would get in closer, more consistently, right on the diaphragm. than the Sennheiser and the Lombardi microphone, but something that I really like about this microphone that I'm not sure the guys at Jay-Z intended, and I'm not sure this was their intent, but this is something that I like, is the microphone tends to be just a little bit windy. It gives you get a little bit of white noise in this. Yeah! It's a little bit windy and white noise, which adds just a pinch, just a hint of distortion in the sound when you're singing through it, which is really great for rock and roll. Okay, so if you want a really awesome, any of these mics are great for rock, but this is also pretty cool. It has a little bit of white noise in it, just a touch, in a good way, and it makes it have a unique sound. And it's handmade from Latvia with lots of love. All right, next. I had this one a few days ago. Hi, Rosanna. Hi, Belinda. Excuse me, a few weeks ago. I also collect vintage mics, older mics from the 70s and 60s, 70s, 80s. It's a mic I purchased in Seattle at a pawn shop. This is the Evey SRO 627B. All right. And even though it's about 20 to 25 years old, it still sounds almost as good as any of these other microphones. Most of these microphones sound pretty much great, all right? The difference between any of these mics is little tiny margins. The reason I like this mic is, again, notice the really thin shank, right? It's light, it's nimble, it floats, it's like a wizard wand. And that's what I want when I'm holding a microphone. And it accommodates my controversial cradle grip position as well. And I like the metallic finish, like the silver, sort of silver metallic finish. All right, this is sort of like the mic version of a chromed out Harley. All right, absolutely love this thing. It's small, it's light, it sounds killer, it's old, love it. By the way, if you scroll down to the bottom of our group page, there's one of these for sale at eBay right now. I put it on the thing for you guys. I think it's like 90 bucks. Pick it up if you can. It's pretty cool. All right, next. Next. This is not a German mic, but in my opinion, this is the greatest American microphone company ever, and they're great. Sort of like Sennheiser in the sense that they have a long, long history of designing microphones, handheld microphones. You just saw one of their older ones, a vintage one, and this is a newer version. I probably use this microphone more than any other microphone in my studio. I've probably recommended this mic more than any other mic in my studio. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's my favorite, it's just still one of my favorites. And this is the Electro-Voice 767 Alpha. This is the Evey 767A, all right? Now it comes with a rubber sleeve on it. I thought I'd grab the sleeve, it's not in there. But anyways, I had a little rubber sleeve in here, I pulled it off. Why? Because if you pull the sleeve off, it gives you a thin shank, and again, I get my wizard wand, it's light and floaty in my hand, it works for my grip, okay? Now, something that I absolutely adore about this microphone, and that is drum roll, please. The diaphragm. Look at the size of that baby. Look at that. Look at that. Big, 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 big diaphragm. Of all these microphones that I have, the Evey 767A probably has the biggest diaphragm. Generally speaking, not necessarily true, but as a general rule, if you get a big diaphragm, what you get from that is screw this guy back on. What you get from a big diaphragm is more boom. Over all the microphones that I have here, there is no microphone that gives you more boom behind it. So if you want to get boomy and get some meat and get nice amplified low overtones in your EQ, the EV767A is very unique in that way. All right, it's the boomiest mic in the collection, and that's just makes it sound like God. It's just great. So you get into your head voice and you get a little extra amplification of the lower frequencies. That's a lot of help, and feels good in the hand.
That's what she said.
Keep going. Let's see, what else we got here? I have a cheap Chinese karaoke mic that I give to people that are, looks like they're going to drop it, so I give them this. All right. It's not one of my favorites. This is a special edition, all silver AKG D7. This is an Austrian microphone. AKG is from Austria. Apart from the fact that it's absolutely gorgeous, it sounds killer. So, like Sennheiser, similar to Sennheiser and the German mics, the AKG comes from sort of the same culture where they don't engineer crap. They make good stuff, all right? So I recommend the AKG D7. If you can get a nice, pretty chrome one like this, go for it. I did a shootout with these handhelds. I made some recordings using handhelds, okay, instead of the big diaphragm mics that hang from mic stands. I just wanted to have the freedom of recording with a handheld, just to get a feel for that. Sometimes you want to do that. It kind of frees you up as a singer, or you can emote better. And so what I discovered was, if you want to make a recording with a handheld dynamic microphone, now I know it wouldn't be your first choice, and you typically don't, because you want to use a condenser mic or nicer big diaphragm mics. But if you wanted to experiment with a handheld dynamic mic in recordings, this sounds great on recordings. It's sort of washed out and wide. I don't know exactly why. Maybe someone like Draven could explain that, but it sounds really great in home recordings, and it looks gorgeous. All right. Now, I have some fun stuff I want to show you guys, and then we'll go, okay? I got some sort of unique boutique stuff. My friend Mark Piro at Placid Audio makes handmade carbon microphones, and this is the carbon mic. Look at that. Designed to sort of sit on a mic stand. All right, that is my Placid Audio handmade carbon mic. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm talking to Mark right now about making one that's more of a handheld, that has ergonomics to it, that's thinner, with this sort of metallic copper industrial design. All right. For some reason, I'm not hearing it. I think I have a little. I think it requires power. That's why we can't hear it. But I want you guys to see it. This is fun. Check this out. This is. What is it? Unfortunately, I can't read the name of the company on the box, but this is similar to Mark's carbon mic, similar to Placid Audio. They would consider this to be a competitor. And this is a salt shaker. Okay, it's a salt shaker. It's a salt shaker turned into a microphone. And yeah, over here. So you get sort of like that old 1920s radio sound to it, I guess. So it's a novelty. It's something you would plug in if you wanted to get that sort of old school vintage 1920s microphone sound. So if you wire up a salt shaker, that's what you can get. Now that was worth the wait, you gotta admit, that was pretty cool. All right, let's see here. We're almost out of time. We are out of time. And I'm gonna show you guys one more microphone, okay? And those of you that are still on board, appreciate you waiting. This is going to be cool. Here we are. This, I'll show this to you, the last one here. This is a company out of Portland called Ear Trumpet Labs. Go to eartrumpetlabs.com and you will see, I think, the most beautiful handmade condenser microphones in the world. Now, I don't know if they're the best or what have you, but they sure are gorgeous. Look at this. I mean, this is, if you want to make microphones a work of art, if the objective is to make art, okay, as well as a microphone, that's what these guys are doing. It's quite obvious. Take a look at this guy. I give to thee from Ear Trumpet Labs the Chantel. This is the Chantel. Look at that. Handmade. Condenser microphone. Sort of similar to what Mark Piro's doing at Placid Audio. Sort of like this metallic, sort of it's like a steampunk design microphones. This is the Chantel. They make many different kinds. Something's kind of fun about this Chantel is, see this? So it turns, so you can sit it on a mic stand, or you can straighten it out. All right. There is a recording of one of my students singing an original song with the Chantel. If you go to student performances, you'll see it. Okay, so that's the Chantel. They're from Portland, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. Love it. I can't show it to you because it's a condenser microphone. That's the problem. I need a cable. This wireless system doesn't give it the power that it needs. That's why I can't show it to you, but it sounds great. All right. Show's over. Hope that was interesting for you guys. Those of you that I didn't get to your questions today, I'll put you at the top of the list. We'll cover it on next Thursday. Those of you that are interested in training and becoming a better singer, I can pretty much guarantee you that if you train with my program, the book, The 4 Pillars of Singing, and on the course, and you do the routines inside, you do the integrated training routines inside, and you practice and you get after it, you will get results. I guarantee you. You have to do your part, you have to train, study it, figure out how it all works, and then get after it. About 30 to 120 minutes, 3 to 6 days a week, depending upon your schedule, is enough to build the motor skills and the coordination to become a stronger, better singer. All right? Now, I'm very much available to my students and customers and people that are interested. Just click on the little chat box thing down in the bottom right-hand corner of our website, or send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I love you guys, and have a great day. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you next week.